Our guest tonight is Angel Guerrero. Angel will be talking to us about how to have effective meetings. Angel was born and raised in the concrete jungles of New York City. Following his parents' advice, he worked hard in school and graduated from Manhattan College in 1992 with a Master of Science degree in chemistry. Today, Angel is a multi-entrepreneur owning an award-winning web design firm, internet franchise in Greensboro, North Carolina, and he is a professional speaker. Angel began his Toastmasters career in 2009 when he joined Triad Toastmasters. Within the first few months, he was installed as Sergeant at Arms because he gets the meeting earlier than anyone else. Then with just 4 months in the club, he participated in his first contest and won the 2009 evaluation contest for District 37. He has served in various offices. He is a past Area 62 governor, club mentor, successful club coach, and president of the newly chartered club, Carolina Christian Toastmasters. He has achieved his Advanced Communicator Silver and his Advanced Leader Bronze Awards. He currently lives in Greensboro, North Carolina, with a bride parent of 9 years, and their 3 children, Angelina, Nora, and Angel Gabriel. Please help me welcome.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen and fellow Toastmasters. How does it feel when you leave your meetings every week or every other week that you have them? Do you feel like your meeting has been going really great? Do you feel pumped up? Or have you kind of lost a little flavor or lost a little thunder? Well, today my hope is that we will have some effective meetings going forward as I share just a few nuggets with you today about what does it take to do that. And it really starts out with our club mission. I want to make sure I go over 2 key components of that. The planning of the meeting, very important to know what's going on and what is the core of Toastmasters. Some best practices that I believe will help and suggest that will help your meetings. And then team meetings, which I think have been a great plus in our area out here in Greensboro, where I've seen many clubs do it. And I believe it just adds some interesting feedback to the guests, especially when they come to a team meeting. So let's get rolling on along. The club mission. The mission of Toastmasters Club is to provide, and you'll see where I highlight in red, a mutually supportive and positive learning environment in which every individual member has the opportunity to develop oral communication and leadership skills, which in turn foster self-confidence and personal growth. The red areas that I have there, mutually supportive and positive learning environment. That is teamwork, ladies and gentlemen. This is a place when any guest comes or when you're there as a member, you feel that you are in the right place. Your confidence is growing. You're really feeling the energy and that people are right behind you 110%. And you can track your personal growth. This is what the club should be offering every single individual that attends it. This is not a cookie club or some little gathering every week or every other week or monthly, however your meetings are set up. This is a place where there is going to be some amazing personal growth. As a friend of mine used to tell me, he said in the Toastmaster Club, you can mess up all you want because it's supporting you to help you and applaud you before you go out in the field where they're not so merciful. So just remember those 2 key components, supportive and positive learning environment, and a place where it fosters self-confidence and personal growth. So what are some of the things that provides great service to our members? And I'm not speaking just to the club officers here. I'm speaking to every single member and your members that are in the club. Every single time you sign up for a role, or maybe you were thrown into a role at the last moment, the day before, you should review it in advance. Whether you're the Sergeant at Arms or you're a person giving your first speech or you've been assigned table topics or even the timer, your goal is to review that role in advance. And you have access to your manuals that you received when you first started. You have access to our website, our TI International website that has all the roles just by typing in the search bar role, and you can see exactly what's expected of you. This allows you to prepare to be the best of your ability. And that's the attitude that I love to see every Toastmaster have, that they've prepared to the best of their ability, even if they have to read from notes or they have a little checklist in front of them when they're talking about their role as timer or as the grammarian. Either way, they have to be prepared to be the best of their ability at that point. And remember, we're there for manual speeches. Countless times I've been to clubs, no names, but I've been to clubs where they've just pulled out a speech or brought somebody in that just did a speech, and I look at the manual and I'm like, well, which particular speech were you doing? And they'll start fumbling through, and I say, well, which one does it match? I'm like, no, that's not the way it works. Your speech should be content that you develop targeted to a particular manual speech that you're going to do. And whether it's from the CC manuals or the advanced manuals, it's important that you know what your project is about ahead of time, because that is going to go to, of course, our evaluators to let them know exactly what's going to go on and what you're looking for and what they should be looking for in that speech to match it to the manual. The competent leader manuals. A lot of times we have the competent leader, but I've seen some clubs where they're still struggling with members. And what I've found is also very useful, with the exception of the newer folks, the competent leader manual can be just exchanged to the person next to you or across from you. That's what we do in a couple of clubs here in Greensboro. We've actually just streamlined that competent leader role to actually be everybody in the club. So what we do is we immediately take the competent leader manual and we pass it along to some of the other folks next to us or somewhere near us and just tell them, well, today I'm going to be the timer. Can you go ahead and fill this out for me after I'm done? Today I'm going to be speaking. Can you go ahead and fill this out? Or I did a table topics today. Can you fill this out? So that's very important. I love to see clubs that have agendas. And of course, Toastmasters International has done a great job that they've given us templates for agendas. And I've seen some folks develop their own, but just make sure that it's very clear, step by step, what's going to happen. And especially for your newer members, you'd like to have those agendas where they detail exactly where the next person's going to come in. So if you can have it almost like a script, if this was something on stage, that's the best place to have the agenda look like. But again, if you're still not sure about how your agendas are doing, or you're a relatively new club, just go to Toastmasters International, type in the search bar agendas, and you'll see a lot of great detail there of some templates you can download both as PDFs or as Microsoft Word documents, and you'll have a good time just to go ahead and pop your information in there. Fits really nice and looks extremely professional. Explain the roles. This is very important because you want to know what your role is. And I did say this in the beginning about reviewing everything in advance, but you want to be able to explain your role, and here's where I have fun with folks. Every single time you have your helpers, the timer, the evaluators, the general evaluator, the grammarian, the counter, etc., these individuals have to stand up at some point in the meeting and tell everyone about what their role is. It's a 1-minute speech or less. It's time to prepare for it. Get fun with it. Have some fun with it. That's how you provide service for those guests that are there, because they'll hear the role. They'll understand, oh, there are some people that are here in the meeting that are actually doing other things than speaking. That eases them into the whole process of joining a Toastmaster club, because it's not all about just public speaking, right? It's about leadership. And each of these roles should be explained very well. So practice it at home before you come into your meeting. Make sure that you know exactly what you're going to talk about. Then, of course, we have excitement and high energy. These two components are extremely valuable to that meeting. I don't care what kind of a gloom and doom day I have. The minute I walk into my Toastmaster club, I'm excited. I get a high better than caffeine could ever give me. It's that type of energy that you want to transmit across the room. And guess who's the people that are important to make that energy contagious to everyone else? You. Not only the Toastmaster of the day, not just the president, but you yourself sitting in that room. You have to provide the energy. You have to get the excitement. This is where you're going to perform your best. So get excited. Have some energy. Thought-provoking table topics. This is very important. The Table Topic Master's role is truly to provide an experience for those members that's going to jog their brain, make them really think fast on their feet, And it's important to go ahead and begin that process of actually preparing for it. Give those questions that are so open-ended that you just have to get an answer. But also, for the folks that are replying, I love to tell them this. Table Topics is your chance to have fun, not just to find your voice, but to find maybe a couple of other voices that you've been wanting to play with, something humorous, something elaborate, something way off the wall that answers the question but took everybody for a nice roller coaster ride of emotion. That's really how you want to play Table Topics. Don't put those questions on politics or anything else that you feel is a little too thought-provoking. Keep it levy, keep it fun, not the infamous what's your favorite color and why, but something more important, like if you had, and go and continue, what would you do with it? Bang. Now that's going to give people a chance to do it. And remember the process. Ask the question first, and then pick somebody. That way, everybody gets to think about it first. Get the guests involved. That's the right thing to do in any meeting, is to make sure that those guests are getting involved. And what should they be involved in? Table Topics. That's their chance. Introducing themselves, making sure that they're just asked, what's your name and how did you find out about us? Nothing more. It's very important that those guests feel like at the end of the meeting that they were also noticed by getting their feedback. So we thank them, applaud them when they speak, and then we get some feedback from them, clap, clap, clap. Guess what? They're excited to be there, so they're going to definitely decide to join. Effective evaluations. This is the core of Toastmasters, the feedback that we give to our speakers and the feedback we receive as members from the general evaluator. If you're not yet sure how to do effective evaluations, read your manuals. There's a lot of great manuals that Toastmasters has. In addition to the ones you received in your kit when you first joined, there's some other ones online, and there's some fantastic YouTube videos that you can just type evaluations, and you can see how people are finding out what it is that they need to make that speaker better. And remember, if you're a member of the audience, you're an evaluator. It's by definition that you are. So give feedback. Really decide how to do it. And general evaluators, make sure that you're ready not just to talk about how great the meeting was and all blah, 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 but give some feedback to the folks that had the roles today. Don't forget the timer. Don't forget the table topic master and the table topic speakers. Don't forget the evaluators. Make sure that they also hear a little feedback from you. The whole core of evaluations is everyone there except the speakers, because they have their own evaluator and the little ballot sheets that they're going to collect at the end of the meeting. And of course, like we're doing now, watch your timing, because timing is everything. We want to make sure that we don't have to rush any particular component. So planning ahead is very important, because if you have some advanced speakers and you know they're doing an 8 to 20-minute speech, you want to plan that well in advance to make sure every component of the meeting is set. My heart always breaks when table topics has to be sacrificed, or something else has to be sacrificed or rushed very quickly. That's not effective, okay? That's not a good service providing meeting. You want to make sure that everything is good and going, so the timing is well. Make sure people understand that that red light is there not just to say hello, but to tell you to start winding down. That's extremely important. Let's move on to some best practices that I believe will help your meetings also be very effective. Be timely. Again, you just heard me talk about it, but I can't mention it enough. Don't rush at the end of the meeting. Make sure that everyone knows that they should be timed. How do you know our speakers will get timed well? They're assigned a mentor. Those first 3 speeches at least, each and every new member should have a mentor, thus creating the practice they need so that they know their first 4 to 6 minute speech is not going to be 12 minutes. It's going to be 4 to 6 minutes. Or that the table topic folks are actually finishing within their time limit and wrapping up and learning how to wrap up quickly. Prepare that room. Make sure that that room is clean. Make sure that that room has the banner that's not all wrinkled. If you have a lot of the ribbons that you've earned, make sure they're nice and organized and not covering up the logo too much. Make sure your chairs are lined up properly, that every single person can see the speaker, that the lectern is movable. I've seen some lecterns that are so doggone heavy, it's unbelievable how they can move them back and forth. So work with your team to make sure that everything is accessible and easy to work with. Make sure the agendas are printed out. Make sure that everyone has a pen and a pad to write on to give their feedback. Make sure there's a lot of materials ready for folks to be able to get some materials after they leave, or use materials to promote the club. the website, all of those things did show the exact room that people were going to be in. Feed the guest book, I call this. Now, what's the best practice? How do you get more energy in a room? When you have guests in the room, that's when the energy is at its highest peak. You must invite. You got to keep the funnel full. I always tell folks throughout the month, every single individual in my club needs to have invited a guest, and they need to show up. And what's the best way to make them show up? You bring them yourself. I make sure I treat them for coffee or treat them for lunch, whatever it takes, but I'm bringing that guest with me to make sure I fill my month. So just bring one. And you've heard Toastmasters International doing their just one kind of program. I think it's fabulous. I think we all can know one person that we can invite and make sure they show up that day, because that's going to make the room feel more excited. Follow club protocol. Again, our meetings are generally the same, just like a franchise. You walk to any club, USA or internationally, you're going to have pretty much the same type of flow. So you want to make sure you don't throw in too many things that are out of the normal. There should be a better speaking portion of the meeting, a better thinking portion of the meeting, and a better listening portion of the meeting. And that's really the course. After that, you do have some traditions that some clubs have where they may do the Pledge of Allegiance, they may do prayer, they may do just a joke. These are traditional things that the club has always done. You always want to have time to, of course, do some acknowledgement, magic moments as we call them, where we want people to spend some time to recognize the newest CCs or recognize some folks that have just come back from TI or our leadership institutes or our conferences, so that people can talk about some of the things that happen. You want to make time for all of the guests to be able to say something at the end of the meeting or talk about some feedback that you're hearing from folks. This is important to teach tradition and still follow protocol at the same time. And then remember, as our club grows, it's about teaching communication and leadership. So the VP of Education's role is to make sure that they are keeping track of all this people's speeches. Where are they up to? Are they getting those points that we need for our DCP? But also the leadership aspect. Don't let those CL manuals run dry or the advanced leadership manuals run dry. Make sure that everybody knows exactly what they're at in terms of their meeting. Well, we've come down to a lot of these fun components that I wanted to share with you today. You can find me on Facebook if you'd like to ask me more questions. You can find me also on my Carolina Christian Toastmaster Facebook page. What I'm hoping with these nuggets that I went through nice and quick today is that you really start to learn that there are a lot of great ways to run a meeting, but the key thing is that keep to that mission statement that we started in the beginning. Our goal is to be extremely supportive and have a great, fun atmosphere, while at the same time building leadership skills, tracking progress, and building people's confidence. And I believe every club can just apply some of these principles that I taught today, and you'll see a big difference. Thank you so much for your time. I'm looking forward to hearing more about how your clubs are doing great.